Thokozani, I'm Pobedimu and I welcome you to my channel. Today I'll be talking about firstborns and their spiritual responsibility. Firstborn kids are very important, especially to namadlozi. I know one might look at this and say, oh, every child is important. Yes, every child is important, but firstborn kids are born with a spiritual responsibility that is to look after the homestead or to look after any spiritual assets or any material things, that have been acquired before, post their birth, and even afterwards. Because when the parents depart, the firstborns are the ones that look after the family, look after the siblings, and anyone else that is left in the home. So that is a very huge responsibility, because firstborns are a first joining of ancestors, are the first joining of the ancestors, of the maternal and the paternal ancestors, and then guza abanye afterwards. But normally the firstborns are the ones that are given this responsibility because they represent both the mother side and the father side. So now it comes to a point where, in most cases, they normally tend to fall on the mother side due to paternal issues and all of that. But in most cases, they look after both the maternal and the paternal side. So it's not a problem that why firstborn kids are very maternal and they like looking after everyone else but themselves, and there's nothing wrong with you. I think as much as someone might look at it as a blessing or a curse, but it's a spiritual burden to a certain extent, because there's some people that live their whole lives and have not really understood, or rather understood their role. I always say every life is spiritual and everyone has their role to fulfill, and being a firstborn is just one of many roles that you have to fulfill. So now firstborn is important in the extent whereby, should there be other siblings or anything going on, nothing can be carried out without the blessings of the firstborn. Should kwenziwe something ekhaya, the firstborn must always be present. The firstborn uye ophahlaya, the firstborn uye ulight impepho. Should there be kids in the homestead, the firstborn uye ukhatha abantwana inhloko, uye maybe ikhanda, mind you, uye obikayo abantwana emadlozini. Should kushone uye okhiphayo. Should they want to do something ekhaya, the homestead, they go where to the firstborn and talk to the firstborn and say this is this, not in a mind of go to the firstborn is in charge of everybody, but it's that spiritual role that they are born with. So now sometimes you find that there are firstborns that live this life and pass on without even discovering the things lezi mhlambe ekumele azibheke or azigade, and sometimes they suffer till they die. And sometimes because of the firstborn, the other kids do not, rather make it, or rather prosper, and up until certain things are fixed, because in some cases firstborns are normally sometimes born out of wedlock and certain things. So up until things are done correctly for them, then there is only things will make sense. So it's the same pattern continues even after the firstborn has their firstborn. So it's like your firstborn is your assistance because you are the firstborn. So it's mainly like more or less the situation. So the firstborn it's an automatic thing, ne? But sometimes when it comes to Izinto zakhabobaba, when they are not done properly, but in the end the firstborn needs to rectify and fix all of that. That is why you find sometimes the firstborn that they can't get married if the things were not done properly, khaya, and all of those things. And in most cases, when firstborns are blessed, with any physical blessings, because Ilozi will bless you in any aspect you think of, they bless them because they need to look after khaya and the umuzi, or rather the home. So that's their particular role that they play when it comes to spiritual things. So it's very important to understand that as a person, and it's not a coincidence. So know that when you stand as a firstborn, usuke umele both your maternal and your paternal ancestors. So, and it's very important to observe izinto zamadlozi. That is why you find sometimes maybe the second, third, or fourth, and you need to do izinto zamadlozi, and sometimes it doesn't work. It's because maybe if firstborn is not interested, mhlampe they are born again and not interested in all of that, and that tends to become a problem up until everyone is one union, So there are people that when it comes to sibling rivalry and all of that and disputes and I don't know why siblings are like that, but they tend to fight lento lena ukuthi why when are you the firstborn. I mean, it's not like you chose it. And what happens is that idlozi, it no longer delegates the blessings. It gives everything to the firstborn, and ihlukanise amongst the firstborn and their offspring. So kuzoba ngathi lona is blessed more than all the other siblings, kanti it's not the case. And sometimes if the firstborn is very negligent, idlozi delegates and offers part of the job to someone else in the family, or maybe someone else with a gift to assist and facilitate the things. So now one thing I need people to understand is that idlozi is not magic. I think that's the misconception people have. It was, you think of your forefathers, your forebearers, and all of that, and people often come to Izinto and namadlozi and want instant replies and want magic and want all of these things, and you need to put in the work to get in. It's so funny how people are able to have so much faith ngebhodlela elamanzi. They don't know ukuthi lamanzi akhiwe kuphi, or a bottle of oil, or ireke balifake esandleni, and they seem to have that faith ukuthi one day this thing will work. But it's so hard for umuntu to apply the same concept when you say umuntu phahla and listen and communicate to your ancestors and speak to your ancestors and do this and do this. So it's very important to understand that as much as namadlozi are here and have so much to give us and are putting in twice as work to look after us, we also need to look after whatever they have left. It's not a 1 day's effort, it's not a 2 days effort, but it's an ongoing thing. I mean, it's not as if ungana kumndeni wakho today and tomorrow awusawunaki because you feel you need to do that. It's either you are in or you're out. It's either you go to church or you don't go to church. It's as simple as that. But it's so frustrating sometimes when people come to consult and they get similar messages and they expect magic and they expect everything to flow because, I mean, idlozi is magic. It's not magic. It's just that people have been so brainwashed ukuthi they bakholela entweni ephathekayo eyenzani. So know that if you do not receive blessings, it's important to acknowledge if it's bonus khaya. And if we are as good to watching this video and and all of these things, because 80% of the time they're given spiritual responsibility and there's nothing you can do unless otherwise amadlozi decide otherwise ukuthi this person has neglected. Sometimes as a firstborn uthola in a position whereby you need to wait for everyone endlini, your siblings, to acquire everything they want in life before you can live your own life, before you can be successful, before you can do certain things. So it's not a coincidence, it's just being a firstborn, and it's always going to be like that. Nothing will change. It's just the way it is. I think once people understand their spiritual purpose and spiritual responsibilities, we'll avoid this thing of going back and forth ukuthi ubani wenzeni, ubani should do this. Mawuzazi ukuthi uyifirstborn nake izinto zekhaya nako umndeni hlanganisa umndeni, because even nalama carols akhona, these little things I just don't like that. Abancane ukunihluphekisa nonke nize nongene ethuneni because of a simple misunderstanding. So it's important phakamise isibongo sakho, whether you're male or female. This has got nothing to do with patriarchy. You just need to be responsible as a person. You don't know how much difference it will make. Sometimes you'd find wonke umuntu in the family kugcwele amantombazane shikli, but no one is married, or abafana bagcwele ikhaya but no one is working. But the firstborn is there busy saying angingeni or andizi, or you're dragging your feet. I think after you watch this video, you need to do some self-introspection. Are you doing things accordingly? Uyalandela izinto right? And if you probably have a problem with, your paternal side, I always say stick to your maternal side, because the maternal side is the land and the paternal side just comes to plant a seed. So you need to know where you stand as a person and do things appropriately. Landelela izinto. Not always everything is about witchcraft. Sometimes namadlozi wenu adhere to things. Be that person. No, ngelanga liso siyahamba semathuneni siyophahla. Ngelanga liso senza umsebenzi ikhamba siyahlanganisa. When it's birthday kamama or izinto ezifana njengalezo, be spiritually responsible. That's just how far I can stretch it. Be spiritual responsible, because people like to be babied. That's why you find people will end up consulting 50 different izangoma, getting the same message, but they don't apply. It's like the people watching these motivational videos of I can make it, I can do it, but they sitting on the bed and like I can make it. And don't be that person, apply what you're getting, the knowledge you're getting with the little you're getting, and ask guidance from your ancestors, and do things as how your ancestors want you to do them, and then the rest will just happen by itself. But remember, ancestors are not magic. You don't just wake up today and decide to go buy a cow and slaughter a cow on a Wednesday and just think because when we say in common everything needs to fall on your lap. No, ancestors ain't no fools. They know fools. They want to see your heart. Your heart is beyond everything. It's even with the relationship. I'm a relationship masha. People are all nice, lovey dovey. They don't show their true colors. But it's a bad. You will see the true colors of a person. So that's how ancestors are. They don't want you to only acknowledge them or you want something from them or acknowledge them, just as simple as that. Acknowledge your ancestors. Like I sometimes feel like when I'm doing these videos, ancestors are like looking at me and saying batele girl, batele, because I mean we all as black people have been brainwashed to when things do not go wrong we are loyal, or when things do not go wrong it's a dig deep, find out the problems as a khaya, fix them. Ask help from your siblings. If abafuna ukukunceda, do things. Know that you create offspring yakho, because idlozi enofu is watching ukuthi who ubani bekanginaka when days were dark. So it's the same thing. So vukani from your sleep and nangani izinto zasemakhaya and respect each other as siblings. No one is here to take anyone's place. But I think if kuyasetshenziswana, there can be a way forward. Idlozi likes peace and harmony ekhaya. Bangathi abazali sebanishile anisekho and anikhona ukwenza 1 2 3. If you do the little you do, then it's fine. I mean, even the little things as ukufaka stone, firstborn. Even the little thing as like understand your importance in the family. Do not abuse your role and think right now you can dictate people's life. Just understand your spiritual role and fix that and create a better, tomorrow for your kids, for yourself, and do that. And no good say, it's not just for you, it's for Muzi. Delegate, help ekhaya, those who do not have, because namadlozi can breast you, boom, and test you, give you 100,000 billion rand, and because you're selfish, when all you're thinking is flashing. Kanti you need good to kunendlu kabantu banemali yakhe, kunabantwana bakabantu bane ekumele like, can we just be spiritually responsible? Can we just be spiritually responsible? And if you know that you are a firstborn and you're spiritually gifted, know that Izipo have been delegated to you and your offspring, and your bloodline is blessed, because the others that come after you, they are rotten potatoes and there's nothing you can do. But if a person is not willing to change their heart, so dear firstborns, if you feel as if you've been putting your life on hold for other people, askisi, but that's just it with what it is. But there comes a point in time when you need to say, I've done so much for so long. I think right now it's time to focus on myself and my offspring, and life continues. I hope this video was very informative. I am Puabadimu. Thank you so much for viewing. Thokozani.